business owners and their advisors get real world insight on how to build a team of advisors, maximize value, and exit on their own terms. I'm your host, Bob Tankesley, author of Exit Teams. Build a team of advisors for your business sale to get a higher price. You can find that book on Amazon. Just start typing in Exit Teams and it should be the first hit. Don't forget to check out our expanding content of information and helpful tips at exitteams.com. So, whether you're years away from selling or thinking about an exit now, this episode is packed with must know tips to help you avoid costly mistakes. So, let's dive in. Today, I'm joined by a true expert in the world of sales strategy and team development, my good friend, Steve Landrum. Steve values and embodies the principle of servant leadership, calling it his life's work to help others prosper. Through his 30 years of sales experience and leadership, he's been leveraging relationships and winning others over to better strategies and practices, and that's been key to his business success in a variety of industries. Steve is now using his lifetime of business experience to aid small and medium-sized businesses in determining the sales gaps of their companies, building their sales to a new level, and managing and propelling those improvements to new revenue levels. As a trusted business advisor to small and medium-sized businesses, Steve can serve a business at any point of its life cycle. Hey, Steve, welcome to the show. This should be a great conversation. I run into the issues that you can help owners with all the time.
I appreciate that, Bob. Thank you for allowing me to be with you today. And great book, by the way. I really enjoyed seeing your journey going through that. And it's a great book, and I appreciate your interest in this subject on the sales side. And regarding your intro, man, let me just say a couple of words. I can't take credit for any of the knowledge and any of the experience I have. I can't take credit for that. I had great people pour into me, and I had the good fortune of having great mentors along the journey in business, and all of those great lessons that I learned, and that was taught by especially two guys that were businessmen that started their business from the trunk of their car and built it to a multi-million-dollar business. Those were my mentors that taught me how to do it. So that's all I'm doing now. I turned it into a business, and it allows me to give back. So I just want to say that, thank you for the warm introduction, but I just want to share, I'm just sharing what was taught me and sharing success. And that's what works.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. There it is, folks, that servant leadership coming through. Steve, let's start really high level. Let's talk sales strategy and how that ultimately impacts business value, because we talk about exit a lot here on the show. I've noticed over the years a lot of owners focus on revenue growth without any formal structure. What's the real difference in your world between just selling more and building a scalable sales system that actually increases enterprise value?
It's a great question, Bob, because a lot of businesses have success, and they have success for a period of time. It's usually from handshakes and relationships and people that the owner may know, and won this job and told this guy about it, and so all that works. I'm not taking anything away from how business owners have built their business. That only works for so long. And usually one of the first things that I see when entering a business that's either become stale or maybe have flattened out over the past 2, 3, 4 years,
Sure.
Is the lack of definition, the lack of written definition. So they may have a team of good salespeople, but everybody's a cowboy on that sales team. Everybody's doing it different. They've had some success, but Bob's sales process is different than Tim's sales process, and everybody records their process way differently. Scratch pads, notebooks. Some may use a CRM. So the first things first, it falls under sales strategy, is to get on the same page and get everybody rowing the same way on the boat. And that means written definition. written definition, making sure that everybody is aligned with a common process, that everybody knows where they're at and what they're supposed to do in a discovery call and all the questions that are supposed to be asked. Everyone should know what a deal cycle looks like. Is that 2 months to close an order from top of the pipeline, or is it 3 months? It should be defined so that everybody knows and is accountable to that. So when I go into a business, first things first, the first strategy that I introduce to a business owner is to get aligned with the sales process. That's the foundational piece that we build everything from. And it sounds so simple to verbalize that, but when we get everybody, the leadership team, the sales team, all in a room together and really define that, you'd be amazed at how different everybody views how that business is going to market. So aligning that first is just a key foundational part of building a great sales strategy. And then obviously repeating that in a CRM and recording it and all of those kind of things. Um, I can't say it enough. That's where it starts. That's where it
Yep.
starts. Yeah.
It sounds like it's near universal where everyone is not working from the same book, the same strategy. And I'm imagining as many salespeople as a company has, that's that many different approaches that could exist within a sales team to generating more revenue. And those approaches could be holdover from previous jobs, previous training, old habits, and you come along and it's in your skill set. It's something the owner wants you to do to sounds like just get everybody singing from the same hymn book at the same time.
Yeah, right on, right on. And
It's a much more pleasant sound, when you go to a concert and everyone's singing from the same notes at the same time and the same
agreed.
cadence.
Agreed. Nobody's out of key. Everybody's got the same words they're singing, the same hymnals they're singing from. It's amazing. I'll show you this stat, and I love one of your stats too. I still can't wrap my mind around the fact that only 4% of businesses go to market and actually
Is that
sell.
amazing?
It's just truly amazing. And my stat that I always amaze business owners with is over 80% of businesses don't have a written sales process. They don't. They over 80%.
Wow.
And that's the point, is that how can we be aligned as a team, as a sales team? That's obviously my business. How can we be aligned as a sales team if we all have different go-to-market strategies and those strategies don't align with where the ownership's trying to take the business? So going back again, it's foundational. It's the bedrock piece of the puzzle that we start with. We got to start there to make sure everything's aligned
Yeah.
going up.
Hey, I'm just thinking about this. How should owners think about a sales strategy differently when they're planning for the growth of that company, no plans to exit versus, hey, we've got a target. We're planning to exit. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but we got a 3 or 5 year window that we're thinking about. I imagine there's some significant differences between those two uh, endpoints. One has an endpoint, one is indefinite.
It's a great question. Great question, Bob. And getting to know you over the years and your profession, that you're really good at, by the way.
Thank
It
you.
is two different approaches. And if I can paint a picture kind of like this, when I'm building something, for a business owner, usually that owner, he doesn't call me in if everything is great. Yeah, I don't work, for people that are just having gobs of success and, hey, let's call Steve Landrum and get him on board. No, no, no,
Let's
that's
see
not
what
the,
he can do to throw gas on the fire.
that's right.
There's usually a fire and it's not a good kind.
That's right. That's right. So saying that, when I'm called in, when I'm I've got the benefit, and when an owner's trust over to be able to work with them, it's usually because they've been flat or sales have been declining, or there's a the sales team is a merry-go-round,
Yep.
for talent. There's something that's broken that I've got to fix. So when things start turning around and getting better, we take some chances. We may try a different marketing approach. We may hire a different approach as far as how we're doing lead generation. We
Interesting.
may we may take a chance on some new talent that's not proven yet, but we really need to see if we can get some new blood on the team, so to speak. So when we're building, what I'm trying to say, Bob, is it's okay to take more chances, take a little more risk as we're building this thing to a greater level. And we're trying lots of different things. We're trying to get that right formula to make the business propel. Versus when we're trying to equip a business owner who sees that end. He's got it in view, whatever that window is, 3 years, 4 years, when you come in, Bob. I would say lessen the risk at that point, because
Mm,
what you're trying to show a buyer, and you know this, Bob, what you're trying to show a buyer is a repeatable, scalable process.
mhm.
If you say this process is now in place and it's going to produce 10% growth, we got to show that. We got to prove that. So we don't need to be testing out new talent, that's unproven, so, within 2 to 3 years of an exit. We don't need to show a potential buyer who's interested that far out, and fail at our
Sure.
talent acquisition methods. We don't need to fail at some of the system, some new systems that we may be trying out to generate, leads or whatever that is. So I would say when we get there, let's really show a potential buyer that this is a sustainable and good model that does repeat and does grow at a measurable growth rate, whatever that looks like. That's two different approaches.
That's awesome. That's so well put. It kind of sounds like we're talking about revenue predictability and forecasting as well at the end of the day. I mean, one theme I've heard you talk about over the years is the importance of building predictable revenue. So I got to imagine there are some key building blocks that separate companies from, those with reliable forecasts from those with just unpredictable sales. Who knows what it's going to be?
100%, 100%. And another stat. Here's another stat that amazes folks is,
All right, get ready, folks.
yeah, I mean, everybody knows what a CRM is, right? A client relationship management tool. It's
Yep.
a way for a business to manage their targets and their customers. How to market to them, how to how to record sales activity. Over 50% of businesses don't use one. Over 50%. It may be higher than that.
You mean this critical piece, this critical tool that could help capture client and customer information, sales cycles, what it takes to get a sale, from start to finish,
Correct.
all that over 50% don't have even that.
Over 50%. And it's the old, salespeople are recording something. And I'm going, you're putting it in a notepad that you're going to throw in the closet or put in a box. Why not put it in a CRM?
There's resistance though, right?
There is.
Salespeople, does the management may try to push it from the top down, but the salespeople, they tend to be resistant, don't they?
100%, 100%. It's a change. Everybody's resistant to change, especially, old dogs who have been successful in sales and have done it their way for years.
Yep.
This is just a tool. This is just a tool to manage your business. It's not Big Brother or, it's a great tool for. I tell every sales guy that's ever worked for me or that I help with a client. This is your little mini business. A salesperson's got a little mini business that he's managing, right? This is a great tool, folks. Guys and gals, that to allow you to manage your little mini business, however that's set up, territory or vertical or whatever that is. So it's a missing piece of the pie many times in a business. I hate to say, Bob, but when it is used, here's where businesses fail. CRMs usually come with this little standard package. They've got maybe five sales steps. Whatever, lead to,
Yep.
discovery call to proposal to negotiation to close.
Yep.
It's usually five steps in every CRM like that. And guess what? The CRM set up 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, 100%, which means nothing, which means nothing.
That's a shot in the dark.
It's a shot in the dark, but that's what's programmed in every CRM that you purchase and start using. So I hate to say it, but many folks just use the standard canned package that comes with the CRM. They're doing something, they're finally making that move. That's a good
Mm.
thing. But I take it one step further. I really dive into all the historical data and really try to measure. Well, first of all, we mirror what we've just built as far as a sales process, however many
And
sales
what's the
steps those are.
phrase? What's the saying? You can only improve what you track.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
100%. You can, that's right. You can only make a difference with what you measure. And that's, I believe in that principle. But saying that, folks like, I really, when I really start diving into the data and really get into it with a business owner, it really opens their eyes, because many times we've got the data in front of us, like proposals sent, for instance. I was working with a client. We were trying to come up with some real nice measurables that we could really rely on and hang our hat on. And I'm going up line on the pipeline,
Yeah.
but we had a really strong correlation to proposals sent versus the success of the business. I mean, we had a really strong conversion rate that we could measure, and a really strong probability rate based on all the proposals that are out there.
Yep.
Things like that is what I dive into and really create a meaningful metric in the CRM. And when we do that, back to your original point about forecastability, when we do that and really get the historical data aligned with the sales process that we just defined, now the business owner's got a really strong tool. He can see, based on the deal cycle life that we've defined, what's the dollar amount of all the proposals we've got out there. And if we've done our homework right, if I've done my job right, I can show that business owner what's coming down the pipe in 3 months, 4 months,
Yep.
5 months. And that's a really strong tool for a business owner to plan his business,
You know,
hire people, whatever that is.
we're talking about metrics and tracking, and have you noticed how the building of this predictable revenue impacts buyer confidence and, frankly, valuation when a company goes to market?
100%. I mean, do you think potential buyer is a potential buyer? Yeah, they might say, great job using the CRM. But you think a potential buyer, when we have done our work up front
Yep.
on your exit team, Bob, of defining how we're going to market, what are the historical metrics associated with success in that go-to-market plan? I think a potential buyer would be a lot more excited about
You're
real
kind
data.
of you're kind of I visualize it this way. You're handing them a playbook. You're handing them a map, that keeps the company moving forward in the owner's absence.
Correct.
That,
Correct.
yeah, that would substantially improve buyer confidence in what they're looking at. And I guess in a way, you're kind of, you with your corporate experience over the years, you're kind of taking the best of what you saw and learned from mentors, and applying it to small business owners. I guess a similar analogy could be made here to publicly traded stocks, uh, where these companies have systems and processes and procedures, and that's a huge thing that keeps future shareholders comfortable that the company can survive a number of different storms. Just as a sidebar, I originally was going to call my book "You Need a Boss" instead of "Exit Teams," and BOSS was an acronym, BOSS, Business Owner Success System, and it was this very real, ongoing reminder, this accountability system that kind of looked over the owner's shoulder and kept kept their instincts, won't say in check, but moving things in the right direction, keeping things from getting scattered. And it was a borrowing that I had from my former corporate days, as brief as they were. But yeah, I'm glad I went with the book with the name Exit Teams and the whole branding and concept, things like that. So sales metrics. What sales metrics do owners consistently ignore that you've noticed buyers care about the most?
I named one. How well do we convert proposals? That's such a key core metric.
Yep.
And so many times business owners have no clue, or they just haven't taken the time to actually dig in the data. But if we go to the top, if we really go to the top, we're tracking salespeople's performance when we start recording this. How efficient are they at selling, moving a deal through the sales process. So I would say one key metric that any business owner as well as potential buyer should be looking at is how well we convert those sales qualified leads. Once that's an opportunity, once a business owner, once a salesperson takes that business card that he got from the networking group, or whatever that is, and
Yeah.
there's an interest there, and we've created that first step in that opportunity in the CRM. How well do we move that through the whole cycle? That's a really, really core metric that I always want to know about when I'm working with a client, and we try to establish that. But that would be something that's also
Sure. I
core
love it.
metric.
We're kind of talking about like a sales process, which I know salespeople might bucket. They might not want to go through follow somebody else's process, but that's what we're talking about: sales process and
Yep.
operational readiness.
Yep.
So that makes me wonder what the most common structural gaps are that you see in sales processes that ultimately hinders the scale, and frankly due diligence, when the when the buyer is at their most critical point and really digging in and rolling up sleeves.
Great question. Great question. It's easy one for me to point out to everybody out there. And again, I can't take credit for this because this is what I was taught. I'm a planner. I've always been a planner in sales. I carried a bag for years as a salesperson, successful salesperson. Moved up to management, successfully moved up to management. Again, I had great mentors pouring into me the whole way. But having a point when you get that first appointment, and you're going to make that first impression, you're going to meet with the potential client, maybe a teams meeting or in-person meeting, hopefully is always best. Having a game plan before you walk in the door. Don't just walk in the door without researching the business, having a set of questions that you want to ask that potential buyer. Um, you want to have some kind of game plan. And frankly, Bob, I don't care if a sales guy does carry this and writes it down before he goes into. I still believe in pen on paper, to this day.
Yep.
It shows a potential client that you care. You're recording the conversation when you're in person. But having a game plan in that discovery call, that first meeting, or whatever it's named in a business sales process, uh, it drives me crazy for salespeople to wing it. It absolutely drives me crazy.
But a lot of them think that's that's my style. That's how it works for me. That's how it works, in every situation. Let's just leave things open ended. No need to structure. Just go in, fire away, respond, fire, work it. It's a dance. But you're saying that's great. All those instincts to propel the person you're selling to forward and to get them to take certain actions. All that's great. Keep that motivation in check, but do it with a system. Do it with some structure to it.
Just prepare. I taught my kids growing up, they're successful business folks now. But I always taught them, if you want to take away the nervousness and take away the anxiousness and
Mm,
just and raise your success rate a lot, prepare. That was prepare for a test, prepare for the big game, well, whatever it is, just prepare. Preparedness takes away all the not all the question marks, but a lot of the question marks if you do it right.
yeah.
Um, so if I may just add one more, again, lessons learned over the years, and I think, and forgive me for saying this, but too many salespeople feel like they've got to use this more than these two things. And there is a ratio there, Bob. There's a ratio for a reason. There's
For those of you
two
that
of
are
the
listening to, for those of you that are listening to audio only, Steve pointed to his mouth, which we have one of last time I checked, and then he pointed to his ears, which we have two of last time I checked. So
yeah. Thank you,
I
sir.
get it. Point
Thank,
taken.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And the fallacy of too many salespeople is they think they got to use their mouth more than their ears, and it's strict. And it's totally opposite. It's totally opposite.
But
If
if I'm not talking, I'm not selling, Steve.
that's, but the late great Dale Carnegie said, if you can get the other person talking, especially talking about themselves,
Sure.
you'll win a friend over. That's so counter to everything that people believe. But
Yep.
if you can get the other person talking about themselves, and you got to take some skill to do that, um, you win a friend. You win them over because it presents the notion to that person that you care about them if you're listening to them, right?
I've always heard the most interesting person in the room is the one who wants to learn about others only.
100%. And that's a true servant, right? Isn't that a definition of a servant?
Yep.
To be able to do that. So yeah, I just that discovery call and use this less and these two things on the side of your head more is what I'm all about.
Hey, do you find owners are more likely to stress or emphasize activity over results or results over activity? And once you find that, once you see that that's the case, how do you shift that mindset?
Yeah, I deal with it actually a lot with the folks I work with is when you get owners thinking about data and metrics and all those good
Yep.
things that you and I both believe in and you make decisions over, you can almost go too far with all of that, and you don't need 20 or 25 different metrics to check on your business each week to see if everything's on track. I truly believe there's an EOS principle out there that everybody should really only have two or three metrics that are key and core. If you check those each
Yep.
week, is the business on track, right? Right. And I believe in that. That's a really good principle that EOS teaches out there. So I try to do that as much as possible because when a business owner starts seeing the data and yes, these metrics are great, and yes, that this is really shining the light on areas that I really haven't thought about in my business for forever. And then they go to the other extreme and want the sales team to present 25 different metrics of the business each week. This is way too much, way too much. So there's a balance, is what I'm trying to say there for sure.
Yeah. So that makes me think about when an owner should consider investing in sales infrastructure before a formal sales process begins.
That's right. I'm assuming that means, a startup or a business launch, maybe,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I've done that several times. It's a plan, Bob. I work with several startups that are, starting from scratch, and I love those. I love working with folks like that. Um, and what we do is it's a little bit trying to take the business owner's experience, everything that's up in his brain, and trying to define that on paper as much as possible. And you do take some estimates. There's no doubt when you're creating a business, we try to get as much market competitive information as we can, how a business that's like the one that you're trying to create or start right now, how is it performing? Can we get any kind of data or metrics, that we can build at least a plan, that's similar, or maybe, however the business owner wants to take his business goals to market. But it's different when you're working toward a plan and gathering real data and adjusting, or just winging it, and here's the difference. Even though we're taking estimates and building a plan that the business owner is launching from, versus just being a cowboy and, hey, I'm going to market and I'm going to sell this product and let's go, baby. And that happens a lot. That
Sure.
happens a lot. And you know this, at least on the former, we've got a plan. And yes, I say this plan is going to change. Bob, this plan is going to change, or Stan, this plan is going to change. But at least we're working from a plan, and we're going to start gathering the data. And yes, we're going to adjust this plan when we get better data. But it's always, always much better to work from a plan, so that we learn and we can adjust, versus, again, shooting from the hip, just going
Yep.
going and getting it.
Yep. I get it. I get it. But that's so critical. And you get involved in team and talent and leadership development. I've heard you say that over the years. Very good at it. How do you evaluate whether a current sales team is, um, they're truly ready for exit and they're going to survive the transaction and be there and continue to do good things for the buyer, or they're just good enough for now?
Yeah, right. It's a great question, Bob, and I do believe in assessing, especially when I inherit a sales team or start working with a sales team. Um, they may have known the business owner for years, and that business owner's got a little heartstrings that's pulling at them to keep that. But he's paying me to tell him the truth, right?
Mm,
He's paying me as somebody that's not afraid to tell him the truth. Again,
yep.
I usually work as a 1099. We usually work as a contractor if I'm fortunate to work for a business owner. So part of that is assessing the talent that's around the table,
Yeah.
just to be quite honest with you. And I've used several tools over the years, and there's some good ones out there. Everybody knows the disc profiles and the Myers-Briggs profiles and all of those. I've used them all. But I've really settled on one in particular that's sales-centric, and it's easy to use and it's easy to understand. There's two or three really good ones out there. But this particular tool, um,
What is that called again?
it's from a company called Wiley, Wiley, and it's called the PXT Sales Assessment.
Okay.
And it's very low cost. It doesn't cost the business owner a lot. I purchase it for the business owner and administer the assessment. But what it does is it actually measures a person's thinking style first. Is that a person a real sales thinker? Does he plan? Does he think about his business and what's going to happen? Kind of like a lawyer. A lawyer always knows the answer before you ask it. It's
Yeah.
kind of that. Is he forward thinking? And then it measures his behavioral style. In other words, is this person fast paced, or is he a slow turtle? We want fast paced, especially when it comes to outside sales or an account. Anybody who's client facing. We want somebody who can juggle multiple deals, multiple customers at once. So
Yeah.
that kind of behavioral style is what I'm also looking for. And last but not least, what are their interests? This is interesting. This is not as not as big a part of the score, but I do want to understand: is this an enterprising type of person? Does he have an enterprising spirit in him? Is he hungry? Is he a tiger? Does he like to win? Does it
Mm,
does it really give him a boost to go win whatever it is, and compete and win. Versus does he only like is he an accountant? Does he no, nothing against my accounting friends out there, I promise, but usually accountants don't make good salespeople. They're two different mindsets.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm trying to wait as much as I can and lower the risk as much as I can for that business owner. And this is a great tool to do that. Measure an existing sales team, or measure a potential sales person that I may be hiring for a business owner. I believe
And
in
again,
those.
the name of that tool, PXP Sales Centric,
PXT. Yeah, yeah.
PXT.
And anybody can just hit me up, and I'll be glad to lead
Yep.
them to that tool for sure.
Yep. So, I've heard over the years how when a key salesperson, a really good salesperson, gets promoted into management or leadership, uh, number one, his numbers are going to suffer. Number two is what it took to be a top key salesperson, what's needed to be a top sales management person. So there's going to be some mistakes made along the way, and a lot of times that comes without the proper training or process support.
Bob, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you because I was that successful salesperson.
Okay.
I was. I had a lot of success when I was in sales. And then I got asked to move up.
Uh,
I got asked. I got that call, to move up and move up to the big leagues. And thank goodness. I mean, thank goodness I had two. I go back to those guys. If you don't have somebody to teach you and show you the way, just be
sure.
careful. Be careful about that move, because that's how most good salespeople become bad sales managers. If they don't have somebody really that's going to invest in them, like I had. I really, I'm an influencer. Salespeople are influencers by nature. That's all they are. They're just influencers. And
Yep.
I was always able, and I'm called a woo, by the way, win others over. It's in Strengths Finders, but so I've always been able to, get people to look my way, right? To agree with, whatever principle or idea that I'm trying to share. And that's a gift. That's a skill. But in saying that, that may work for you in sales, but sales management is a whole different bear. It's a whole different animal
Well,
for
come on.
sure.
All you got to do as a good salesperson is just take what you learn and are good at and just give it to other people. That's all that sales management is, right?
Yeah, that's what everybody thinks. That's what everybody thinks. And you usually make less than some of those superstar salespeople too, by the way.
Yeah.
So you got to get used to that.
Start watching your income go down, and
But that's
that
that's what happens a lot, man. That's what that happens more than you think is and I say that politely and respectfully to business owners. If you're going to do that to your superstar salesperson, just make sure you're going to be there to invest in that new sales manager that you just promoted. Just make sure.
for sure. Hey, for our business owners listening, before they even talk to buyers or have, someone like me to help them talk to buyers, how important is it for them to have a sales leader or one of these disciplined sales managers on the team? Just
Um,
straight up, give us hit them right between the eyes. What does more than just move the needle? What makes significant differences?
Well, Bob, I'm going to give you the credit here. You really taught me this principle. You really did in your M&A experience, and I didn't really realize this, to be honest with you. But you taught me this principle that if a business is getting ready to exit, and that business owner is trying to acquire his life stream, and get monetized for all that work that they did. If it's an owner-led business, which happens a lot, if
Mm,
it's an owner-led business, that valuation of the business is going to go down, versus a functioning sales team with good sales management that's not relying on that business owner. That's two different valuation models. If
mm,
40, 50, 60% of the business is attributed to that business owner going and doing it, versus a model in which you've got a really strong functioning sales team, strong sales management, and that business owner can step out for 2 months and nobody's going to miss them. That's the model that we should strive for. And unfortunately, there seems to be more business owner and it's their baby. I can't. This is nothing derogatory against business owners. They built it and they did it, and they rolled their sleeves up and they had 5,000 handshakes that led to all these relationships and good business that they
Yep.
acquired over the years. So it's hard for them to let go of that. And I get that. I do understand that. But it does make a difference before they sell to get that right, to get out of the sell seat, for business owners to get out of that sell seat.
I like how you put that. Those are two different valuations.
100%. And business owners are always surprised at how much difference those valuations can be. It's amazing. I'm talking millions of dollars in some cases.
You know, owners have, I've seen 60%, 70%, 80+% of their net worth tied up in companies. And it's not until, that they're in deep in due diligence with a buyer that they start finding out what that huge chunk of their net worth is actually worth. And a lot of that has to do um, with buyers' perception of risk. And if
100%.
4% of companies sell and three-fourths of the owners are counting on the net proceeds to have a successful whatever, it'd be it seems like it'd be very important to hire you. Let's talk about you for a minute because you do fractional leadership and sales team development. And I can't imagine, as good as you are, you don't win 100% of all the owners you talk with, and so many of them are balking at this fractional sales leadership that you offer. But how do you demonstrate the ROI, return on investment, of bringing someone in like you early rather than waiting?
It's a great question. Great question. And the fractional, to your point, the fractional sales leadership model is one of the newer fractional models that's out there. I mean, it's 10 years old, maybe, and nobody
Yep,
thought about it 20 years ago. Everybody's used to the fractional, financial officer model, the CFO model that
yep.
works, or fractional HR,
Fractional
manager.
IT.
It's
Yep,
all out there. It's been out there for 20, 25, 30 years. But the sales thing, everybody's always had a misnomer about. And especially in the owner-led sales model, that's really where I can really shine. Uh, and it happens so many times that business owner, because he built the business and he did all the handshakes and he did all the deals to get them to that, 6 million, $8 million, $10 million revenue mark, whatever it is. He's still sitting in that sales management seat, and those salespeople are still reporting to him. And guess what? He's wearing 25 other hats because he's the business owner. And the part that he's given to the sales team, maybe Bob, 1 to 2 hours a day, because he's doing so many other different things.
yeah.
He may be given that, maybe if he's lucky. So when I open a business owner's eyes about that, just that principle, I'm going to take that off of you. I'm going to take that off of you and just free you up so you can wear the 24 other hats. I'm at least going to take this sales leadership off of you. And I'm going to do it well for you, I promise you. And I'm going to report to you, and we're going to build this thing and make it better. That resonates. That resonates because he already knows that he's not giving the sales team enough time. He already knows that. So I'm just taking that off of him, building it up better. And yes, replacing myself when we agree with a full-time sales manager when that time is right. When revenue's up, we got everything working right. We've got a sustainable model that's going now. We got that
Yep.
top spinning. Yes, it's time. It's time for a full-time Steve. But that works really well, and that resonates with business owners when I present the scope that way for sure.
Is some part of the problem that they see that you're not coming in on a full-time basis, so there's no way this can work? I mean, that's got to be one of their huge misconceptions that they have that how can you be effective when you're not in my office, 40, 50 hours a week, but you've got, getting back to earlier in the discussion, you've got templates and assessments and tools and your own experience that you're bringing all that in a condensed period of time. You don't need to be on staff. You don't need to be full time, and
That's
that
right.
that's the nature of fractional work. And you can point to previous success cases that you've worked on, and tell them that I was able to get this company from 5 million to 7.5 over this period of time. We changed this, we implemented that, we improved these things. So there's true benefit. I've always been a big fan of fractional work.
Well, to take that one step further, Bob, I mean that business owner, um, I'm taking the sales meetings and the one-on-ones and the reviews and the time working with the salesperson on his metrics and pipeline, all those things. I'm taking that off of him, and that's a plus in itself. But I need that business owner. I don't need that business owner to go away. I need that the business owner built the business. I mean, he's got some sales. He's got some salesman in him, or if it's a female sales lady in them. So yes, I need you involved when we get close to a deal and this potential client wants to know the ownership of the business and wants to hear your story. Heck yeah, I need you involved. So, and that usually involving that business owner at the right time on deals keeps him engaged and keeps him pulsed to the sales process as well. But I said any sales manager, Bob, I'd say the majority of sales managers are not talking to their salespeople all day long because the salespeople are out selling. You want them
Outside.
out
Yep.
selling, right? They're out pushing deals through the sales process, and they're out talking with their clients. So when I frame it that way, Mr. Business Owner, I'm doing the same. I'm going to do actually more work than you're doing. Uh, I don't have to talk to a salesperson all day. I don't need to check in with them at 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I'm going to lose that salesperson if I'm doing that. So that's a
Sure.
misnomer that a sales manager is talking to the salespeople all day long. It just doesn't happen. That's not sales management.
A couple of minutes ago, you mentioned what sounded like your goal is to work yourself out of a project, out of a contract. So there's a point where you have to ensure that there's a good transition, smooth transition, as seamless as possible from your fractional leadership to someone who can do a full-time sales leader role. And the timing's got to be right on that. What does all that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question, Bob. And sometimes it involves when there's a need. Sometimes a business is a national, has a national reach and not just state
Yep.
level or regional level. And when that occurs with a client, when there's really truly a need for sales management to be out in those 50 states or wherever we're going for the product and service, that's hard for me now because I'm serving multiple clients. I'm fractional, right?
Yep.
So when that happens and we really raise that up, that need is clear. That's one signal with the business owner and myself that it's probably time to get somebody full time. If we need a travel warrior, a road warrior, that's not me now. That's not me.
Right.
After my 45 trips to Japan, I don't
Wow.
mind. I don't mind being at home here in Georgia more nights than not. So
Yep.
that's one major indicator. Travel when a travel and I acknowledge that and I agree with it. If that's a need for the business to propel, we work that out together, and then that's a really good indicator that we need to get somebody full time.
No doubt. No
Oh,
doubt.
another one too, honestly, is a big sales team. I mean, in corporate life, I had 9 regional managers that worked for me, and probably 110, 120 dealer salespeople that were selling my product. That's a big sales team, you know. That's a lot of phone calls every day. So the bigger the sales team, you know, they deserve a level of every good salesperson deserves some level of management attention. You know, that
That's well said.
any good business should strive to give their salespeople attention. So salespeople are, you know, they're influencers, but they need attention as well. They need
Yep.
direction. They need accountability. And when a sales team gets too big for the hours that I'm giving a business, that's another indicator as well that it's time. It's time to find full-time Steve, and I'm more than happy to walk through that with the business owner to make that happen.
That's it. That's more of that servant spirit. Hey, as we come down the home stretch here, let's talk about value killers, exit prep. Um, Single biggest mistake you've seen that erodes value, sales
Every
mistake that erodes value during due diligence.
every time owner-led sales, every time. Uh, Owner-led sales, and he thinks he's within 2 or 3 years of exiting, and thinks his business is worth X, and it's not because he's still in the sales leadership seat. That's the biggest one.
Again, I love how you put it earlier. Two different valuations.
It is 100%. And it's
What
amazing the difference.
what's like a specific example where early an early sales system and the improvement of an early sales system materially changed a company's outcome?
Yeah, I can't say, Bob, that, I've served a lot of businesses over the past 5.5 years. It's hard to believe I've been doing this for 5.5 years now. I've been blessed, been blessed with a lot of success. Um, and I say this because, again, a business doesn't call me in when the sun's out every day, and they're just printing money. I don't get that call to work in a business when that's happening. So when a business owner is struggling for whatever reason, and I'm helping to fix that issue, that sales model, uh, he usually wants to enjoy that for a few more years. He
That's a great
struggled.
point. Yeah.
He
It's kind
struggled
of like that house that we fixed up. Did we really fix it up just to put it on the market the next spring, or do we want to enjoy it those last 2 or 3 years of ownership?
Bingo, bingo, or name, fill in the blank. All that landscaping you did, out in your yard. Don't you want to look at it and
Yeah,
enjoy it? Same thing with a business owner. And I, in this window that I've served the market with this business so far, I haven't had a client ready to exit immediately after I've worked with them. Only probably because of that main reason. Seriously, they want to enjoy the fruits, and I can paint a few examples, and I can't take all the credit for it. There's other things that are working, but I've had a couple of businesses that have really, one in particular had been flat for 3 years, and I was called in. They had been in business for 20 years, and they were
wow.
flat
You
flat
would
for the
think
last.
they figured it out, 20 years of operations and
No, no, and they tripled. They tripled. Not
love
not
it.
not in my time, but after I left, they tripled in year two, year three, whatever that was. So, um, just putting a system in place and putting good people driving that system. That's the formula. It
Yep.
really does work. It's not an overnight magic one. Um, Houdini trick. I tell every business owner that I don't have a magic wand, but I promise these principles work if you'll just hang with them. I
Or a
promise.
crystal ball, right? My
Or a
my
crystal
crystal
ball.
my crystal ball is still in the shop. They keep telling me it's going to be ready, but hey, here's a segment of the show that people seem to like a lot: the rapid fire takeaways. All right, go. The biggest sales myth that owners believe that have cost them in negotiations.
Everybody thinks they got to drop their drawers and lower the price.
Yep,
Don't do it. Don't do
don't
it.
do it.
Don't do it.
Most underutilized sales metric that buyers scrutinize.
Yeah, I think I touched on this. How well you convert new opportunities to close deals. Know that number. Know
Yep.
that number. Yep.
And one habit every owner should adopt this month to make sales more disciplined and predictable.
I mean, it's so core, but I keep going back. Everybody has some kind of quoting process or proposal process. Know how many of those really close, and that's a really strong correlating indicator to build from. If you don't do anything else, know that number in your metrics. How many proposals that you sent out last year and how many closed, and get some historical data based on that.
Yep. Good stuff. All right. So if an owner's thinking about exit 2 to 3 years, which is kind of what I tell them, if you're planning for exit, at least give it 2 to 3 years. What is one sales related thing they start today as we sit here recording March 4th, 2026? I don't know when they're going to hear this, but once they hear it, I got to start this today. What is that?
I'll go back to that rowboat that I talked about at the first of the podcast. Make sure that you got a defined sales process that everybody understands and believes in. Get your sales team and your leadership team to define that together. Build it together, define it together, make sure everybody's using it together and reporting on it together. Main core function that you could work on right now to better your business in the sales process.
There you go, folks. Straight from a professional. Steve, this has been fantastic. We've talked about a lot today, a lot of good stuff. I don't know how long the recording is, but this is going to be a good one. I predict it's going to be one of those that gets listened to quite a bit. We've talked about the importance of defining a sales process, as you just said, the fact that 80% of owners don't have it. Use a CRM, folks, because 50%, was it over 50% don't?
Over 50%.
Salespeople need a game plan. What else? Don't convert your best salesperson into a manager without the proper mentorship and preparation.
Correct.
We've also talked about the importance of hiring someone like yourself to come in and do that fractional sales leadership role. This has been fantastic. So if somebody is listening, they say, I got to do something about my sales. I got to turn this around. I have to make myself irrelevant. I got to impress my future buyer. Steve, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, easy. I'd say you see my business, Etowah Sales Solutions, at the top. Just look me up on LinkedIn,
Okay.
Steve Landrum. I'm easy to find. You can find my website from that LinkedIn profile page. You can find lots of tools that I post weekly on that page. You can get to know me through some of my videos that I post on that page. I use Sales Acceleration's email address, which Sales Acceleration certifies me in my business, slandrum@salesxcceleration.com. You can find that on my LinkedIn page too, though.
Cool. Thank you, sir. Thanks for spending time with us today.
It's been fun, Bob.
Well, folks, that's a wrap for today's episode of the Exit Teams podcast. A big thank you to my guest, Steve Landrum, for sharing his insights. I suggest you reach out to him. He's got a lot to share. Hey, if you're a business owner thinking about your next chapter, now is the time to start building your advisory team. You can learn more in my book, Exit Teams. Build a team of advisors for your business sale to get a higher price, available on Amazon. And don't forget to visit exitteams.com for free resources, tools, and a master class that can help you prepare for a successful exit. Until next time, build your team, sell smart, and take control of your future.